Welcome to another Feature in 5. Today we're joined by John Nicholson. John, how you doing, buddy?
Good to be here.
Yeah, so we've seen this demo before, and this is one of my favorite things of vSAN 6.7 is this new Cluster Quickstart. So John's going to walk us through this awesome new feature. Go for it.
All right, so we're going to start out. We've got a vCenter here. We've already done an easy install to get the vCenter set up, but we need to set up our cluster. So we're going to turn on DRS. We're going to turn on vSphere HA and vSAN, get our core services for the cluster operational. Next up, we need to add some hosts. So previously, if you think about this, this was a step-by-step. Every host, you had to go through a wizard. Each VM kernel port might have been 20 clicks. Instead, we're just typing in our host names, our usernames, our passwords. And you know what, Pete? I'm feeling kind of lazy today. I don't want to have to keep typing in the username and password. So I'm just going to click the use same credentials for all hosts.
Nice.
And it's going to set that out, and it's going to make some intelligent guesses. So moving on, we've got our host summary. If there were any hosts that had health issues, if they were on different versions, we get some notification here. We're going to select finish. Now, these hosts have been added to the cluster, but they're still not configured. They don't know how to talk to each other. There's no networking configured. We're going to run a bunch of health checks and make sure these hosts are actually ready to rock. So we're going to look at drivers and firmware and time settings and things like that. And now that we see these are all green, we're going to go on and actually configure our vSAN cluster. Now, the first step of this is we need to get networking online. So we're going to set up a distributed switch, which remember is bundled with vSAN. We're going to add adapters 2 and 3 to this distributed switch. And then first we're going to set up the vMotion network. Now, this is a lab, but normally you might set a VLAN here for security and isolation. And I'm going to use DHCP because it's a lab, but if you wanted to, if you were setting this up with statics, you could individually in each host make sure they're all set correctly. And it'll go through and make sure that subnet's consistent and things like that. A lot of room for typos. I know probably you've never made any typos.
Never. No, I don't make mistakes.
But I have a lot. So it's actually quite helpful.
So all these settings, it's obviously cluster configuration. So this is all done, for every host that I join?
Yeah, we're configuring all the VM kernels. Instead of 20 clicks
Lovely.
On every host, twice, I get this wizard. So actually, if you go through all the clicks on advanced settings and going through here, we're also going to do HA, admission control, DRS settings. Also some other settings, encryption and deduplication, which I always strongly recommend if you're going to turn on these settings. Mm-hmm. You turn them on, at the beginning. You don't try to add them after and you have to shuffle data around.
Yeah.
If we were going to do stretch cluster, we'd set that here. The other thing also is time. NTP, you don't want that time bomb of clock drift in your environment. And so just avoiding having to go hunt through all these different places. So next up, we're going to claim the disks. It's going to make some intelligent guesses about cache and capacity, fault domains if we were using those, splitting vSAN up across racks and so forth. And it's going to set up our cluster.
I like the fact when it does the disk creation that it's smart enough to know that if you've got the right amount of disks, it'll actually create multiple disk groups because that is a recommendation for VMware.
Yeah.
vSAN.
The other thing here is, so we see our storage is available, but what's next?
Oh, we got to do some. You're going to add another host now, or
yeah.
Oh, sweet. So it's not just day 0. This is
no. That's okay. There's a lot of automation wizards that only do greenfield. This is brownfield. So we're going to add another host in here. We'll go set up this host, and this host again, it's been added. Now we're going to next run all those health checks, make sure that the firmware, the drivers, everything else is ready to actually get this thing operational. And this is going to handle things like also the host is being put into maintenance mode as it goes in before it's configured. Which is a requirement to add host to a cluster.
Yeah.
Now, we're back to network setup, and we're just going straight to the vMotion and straight to the storage network configuration. And we're going to claim the disks, create our fault domains if we had those, and then hit finish. You notice some things missing there?
Yeah, you haven't done any of the configuration yet, right?
Well, but that was carried forward. We already did it once, so.
Okay. So you did those cluster configurations earlier, which means any new host you add already inherits all those settings.
Correct.
That's
so
clean.
If we go back to our summary here, we can see that we've added that extra terabyte of capacity. Fourth host is healthy. It's ready to rock. So that's Cluster Quickstart.
That's beautiful. That's a great feature in 5. More information on this is at storagehub.vmware.com. Thanks, John.
Thanks.